Heaven's California.
Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video, and today, let me just quickly flick that, we are going to be looking at the 2016-17 season. Now, yesterday did mark the end of the season with a Champions League final between Juventus and Real Madrid. The Black Eyed Peas performing pretty lacklustrous, and an outstanding performance from Real Madrid, and an outstanding goal from Juventus's, what's his name? Mario Mandzukic to try and get the tie back, but Real Madrid did go on to win 4-1. Now, this season has been full of a lot of shocks, not just worldwide but in the Premier League as well. For example, Manchester United breaking the world record transfer fee for Paul Pogba, and also Arsene Wenger signing a 2-year contract at Arsenal. That's how mad this year has been. But today is not reflecting on the whole season, it is reflecting personally on Manchester United's season and where it all went wrong or where it all went right. So we'll start off all the way back in August 2016, where we started off the campaign in a what's it called? Community Shield. I've got the results here, all on BBC Sport. We're going to be having a look. So, yeah, Community Shield against Leicester at Wembley. We did pick up a 2-1 win, marking Ibrahimovic's first, debut for Man United debut that wasn't a friendly. And we did get to win that 2-1. And we thought, you know what, Jose Mourinho's come in and he's won a piece of silver, that's great. But don't get too overexcited. I was always like, at the start I was kind of like, yeah, we're hyped. But then things didn't actually look too bad in September. We did pick up a league win against Bournemouth, Hull and Southampton. So again, things were looking well and things were looking on the up. So again, we did hit September. And September, again, things didn't look too bad. We picked up a 2-1 loss to City, 2-1 loss at home. Again, that's a bit disheartening. Obviously, we always want to do well in the Champions League. But then we did pick up we also picked up a 1-0 defeat to Feyenoord in the Europa League, kicking off our Europa League campaign quite poorly as well. But then the rest of the month, things were alright. And we did get actually, no, they weren't alright. We had a 3-1 loss to Watford, which was when things were kind of like, the league was kind of like, ooh, are we going to be challenging this league title? We'll stay optimistic, we'll hope for something. For then, that wasn't where the league was lost for me. But then we did go on, we beat Northampton in the Carabao Cup, I believe that's the League Cup. And then we had a 4-1 win against Leicester and a 1-0 win in the Europa League against Zorya at home. So then October hits and we do have, this is where the league did start to look a little bit shaky for me. We had a 1-1 draw with Stoke City, which for me at home was not good enough. We then had an away draw to Liverpool. I was like, is that a point gained? Is that a point lost? 2 points lost. For me, it was 2 points lost. Actually, no. No, it was a point gained, I suppose, because it's at Anfield. Quite a big rivalry there. Obviously, we would have liked the win, but we didn't get it that time around. We then had a 4-1 win against Fenerbahce at home in the Europa League. Kicking off with 6 points in the Europa League then, things were looking okay. We then had, this is where the league was definitely kind of like, yeah, I think it's gone. This is where Chelsea was showing their superiority, and they did change, I believe, to the 3 at the back before this game. They had a 4-0 thumping over us at Stamford Bridge, which was where really eye-opening for me, where I thought this team has not got what it takes to win the league this year. We then had a 1-0 win over Manchester City in the League Cup, followed by a 0-0 draw against Burnley. So we only picked up a possible 2 league points out of a possible 12 that month. And for me, again, no, we had 3 league points. But again, for me, that just wasn't good enough. Moving on to November then, we started off November in the Europa League again with a 2-1 defeat to Fenerbahce when we flew over to Turkey. We then had a 3-1 victory over Swansea City, a 1-1 draw with Arsenal, and a 4-0 thumping of Feyenoord at Old Trafford. We then had a 1-1 draw with West Ham at Old Trafford, and a 4-1 win against West Ham in the League Cup. Christmas time hit and we were in December sooner than we all knew it, and we kicked off December with a 1-1 draw away from Everton. Away at Everton, the review on the channel, all of you must have seen it. If you didn't, then hard luck. But it was a poor performance, and Fellaini led us down there. Another 2 points lost. We then went away to Zorya and picked up a 2-0 win. And then we had a 1-0 win against Tottenham Hotspur. I wasn't aware that was a 1-0. A 1-0. But, okay, fair enough. We then had a 2-1 win away from home against Crystal Palace. And a 2-0 win away from home against West Brom. Ending December with a 3-1 victory at Sunderland. And a 2-1 victory at Middlesbrough. This is where we thought, yeah, we could catch up here. We had a good December, actually. But the rest of the top six also had a good, well, they also had a very good couple of months, and we just couldn't get that sixth spot. And this is where September, a lot of fans were saying the league's gone. People tried to stay optimistic, but I like to stay optimistic and realistic. And at the end of the day, the realisticness was we're too far away from Chelsea now. I think we're about 11 or 12 points behind. The league is over. We've got to try and go for top 4, try and stay there. And we've got to try and get Champions League qualification this year, because Champions League, not only is there a lot of money, but you also need Champions League now to attract the high quality players. Obviously, this season was a little bit, maybe an exception to the rule when we picked up Eric Bailly, Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic and Paul Pogba, who all in their own right have been an extremely good asset to Manchester United this season. Ibrahimovic picking up a lot of goals, Paul Pogba being one of the best midfielders in statistically in the league, Eric Bailly being a very good option at the back, and Henrik Mkhitaryan picking up a wonderful scorpion kick and also picking up a crucial goal in the Europa League final. Moving on past Christmas then, we then moved into January, a fresh start, a new year, we could see what we could do. We kicked off the campaign with a 2-0 win at the London Stadium against West Ham, and then we had a 4-0 thumping of Reading in the third round of the FA Cup at Old Trafford. We then moved on to a 2-0 win against Hull City in the League Cup, and then a 1-1 draw at home against Liverpool. Again, losing more points that we really should, losing more games and drawing more games than we should have done, losing more points, trailing off that top 4 group again. We then moved on, had a 1-0 draw with Stoke, lost to Hull City in the League Cup, and then we had a 4-0 win against Wigan in the FA Cup. Moving into February then, we had a 0-0 draw against Hull in the league. We did go and beat Leicester City 3-0 at the King Power Stadium, which was a good result. We then had a 2-0 win against Watford and a 3-0 win against Saint Etienne in the first leg of the round 32 in the Europa League. At this point in the season, I was kind of like, yeah, from what I can see, Jose Mourinho is primarily going to stick more on to the Europa League, but he's also going to try the Premier League as well. I was still optimistic for both, although I was kind of swaying more towards the Europa League at this point. As then we had, we carried on our success in the FA Cup, a 2-1 victory away from home against Blackburn. But then we got hit with another Europa League match. We did manage to get a 1-0 win away from home at Saint Etienne, progressing into the round of 16 into the Europa League. We had a 3-2 win against Southampton in the League Cup final then, ending off February. A very controversial match. Did we deserve to win it? Again, it's not my point to say. We won the match, that's all that matters. And Jose Mourinho made history, getting us our winning a first domestic cup that was somewhat of some importance. So the Community Shield is an exception to the rule here. He's the first manager to come into Manchester United in his first year and win either FA Cup, the League Cup, or the Europa League, Champions League, whatever you're in. So he made history there, and at this point I was still thinking maybe the top 4 still on. We'll have to see as we go in. March was a relatively quiet. We had a 1-1 draw to Bournemouth at home. Again, another 2 points lost. We had a 1-1 draw to Rostov in the Europa League away from home. We then got beaten in the FA Cup, unfortunately, Ander Herrera getting a red card and we did lose to Chelsea 1-0. So that was the FA Cup gone, and that was the domestic treble gone. That was a treble gone, because the league at that point was gone as well for me. It was all about top 4 and Europa League. But we did have a 3-1 win against Middlesbrough to end off the month away from home. Moving swiftly on into April, where it was quite a congested month. 1st of April, we had a 0-0 draw to West Brom at home. Again, another home draw. And Jose Mourinho's stats this season for draws have not been good. And I'm praying that something will change for that next season. We then had a 1-1 draw at home again to Everton. And then we had a 3-0 win away from home at Sunderland. And this is where the fans are going, maybe the top 4's still on. You've got to be realistic here. You have to be realistic. I like to be optimistic. I like to see the positives. But I also like to see myself as being realistic. Not thinking, oh, we're going to win the league. Even though I did predict Man United to finish 2nd. That'll be another video, by the way, having a look at our predictions for the Premier League. So we then moved on. We're into the quarterfinals of the Europa League, and we went to Belgium to play against Anderlecht, and we picked up a 1-1 draw, which in reality was okay. We got the away goal. We then had a 2-0 victory against the league leaders and pretty much league champions by then, Chelsea, and then we picked up a 2-1 win at home against Anderlecht, narrowly going through into the semi-finals of the Europa League. At this stage I thought, yeah, Europa League is going to be our only way into that Champions League. We then had a couple more games in April. We had a 2-0 win against Burnley, a 0-0 draw against Manchester City, and then a 1-1 draw against Swansea, still tailing. I think at this point we may have been about 5th, but then we dropped down to 6th again, and at that point, top 4 was about... for me it was impossible, but when it hit, I think it was the 0-0 draw with Southampton, that was when the league was mathematically over. But we did have some games before that. We had a 1-0 win against Celta Vigo away from home. We then had a 2-0 defeat at the Emirates by Arsenal, followed by a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford against Celta Vigo. I believe it was John Guidetti could have easily finished it off and sent Man United out of the Europa League, meaning Manchester United would be in the Europa League once again, joining Arsenal. Arsenal next season, obviously, not going to be in the Champions League. Will it be less embarrassing for them? I don't really know. They're going to miss the money from the Champions League. Obviously, all clubs will. Leicester obviously have had a big boost this season from the money they had from qualifying to the Champions League and winning the league last year. And Leicester being the best team in Europe this year for English football. So, again, maybe Manchester United and Chelsea back in the Champions League. A lot of people league favourites next year, along with Manchester City and Spurs again. Arsenal and Liverpool still not quite scratching, not quite making that cut. But Liverpool did get Champions League qualification this year, so maybe we'll see something from them as well. And maybe if Arsene Wenger getting that 2-year contract, maybe he will pull his finger out of his bum and try and get something done. Try and get a proper challenge mounted this season. But then we do carry on, and we did have a 2-1 loss to Spurs in their final game, White Hart Lane. And again, it was, you know what, Harry Kane, I mean, Spurs have been a better team this season. We did lose to the better team. But then we had the 0-0 draw at Southampton, a 2-0 win to Crystal Palace. And then we went into our final game of the season, which was a somewhat unsatisfactory win against Ajax. We did what we had to do. We were pretty much playing a team of babies, to be honest. There wasn't a real challenge. So, again, maybe we were lucky with the draw. Would it have been a different story if we were playing Lyon? Maybe. They had a bit more firepower. Dolberg was kept very much quiet throughout the match. And we did get Mkhitaryan, and I can't remember who else scored now. I'm going to put my hands up. I didn't watch the match because I kind of knew. Well, I did watch the match, but not properly on the TV. I had it on the old tablet here, the mini screen, as I like to call it, because I knew it was. Hopefully, we should win. I did call an upset, but we did manage to get the win, and we did get that Champions League. But has Manchester United's season been successful this year? I would say, for what we needed to do, yes. From what fans are still expecting, probably not. Fans are still going to be wanting Champions League football. all fans want is they want Champions League and they want trophies. And this year Jose Mourinho has delivered. Give him his credit. He did get us 3 trophies to put into our trophy case and finished off the last piece of the puzzle, the Europa League trophy, into the Manchester United Museum now for all people to be able to see. But has it been successful? Has the £89 million worth deal for Paul Pogba been successful? He's had a very on and off season, hasn't he? He's had some games where he's turned up, and then for games where he needed to turn up, the big games, he just hasn't. And people are saying, oh, he's not worth the £89 million because he's not getting a shit ton of assists and he's not getting a shit ton of goals. He's a midfielder. He's kind of like a Kante. He's there to control the match, and in the Europa League final, he definitely did control the match for me. He controlled the match, and I'll applaud him for that. I think he's had a good season. Statistically, him and Herrera were 2 of the best midfielders in the Premier League this season. So, haters gonna hate, but stats don't lie, I'm afraid. Ibrahimovic, obviously, so unfortunate to see him getting that injury, but maybe we will have a season where we're not going to have Ibrahimovic. It looks at the moment like he is going to be staying on for next season. He's had a lot of offers. He hasn't said anything just yet, but if he's going to come back next season, he's going to have a point to prove. He's going to want a Premier League title. And does Manchester United have the depth for that? With a couple of signings this season, I think they will. Obviously, Griezmann now called off, has confirmed he will be staying with Atletico as their transfer ban was not lifted. They didn't win their appeal, so they can't make any transfer this season. It would be silly for them to get rid of a lot of players. The main player for us at the moment, well, there's 2 obviously. One of the Manchester United greats, if not one of the best players to step foot on a Manchester United pitch, for my opinion, is Wayne Rooney. Seriously underrated at the moment. He's slagged off a lot. He's in the media a lot saying he's not good enough. He's our country's top goal scorer and he's the club's top goal scorer. He's got a lot going for him and maybe he deserves to go out now. Is it best for him to go? I'd probably say so. He's done what he can. He's depleted. He's declined so much since Alex Ferguson has left the team. Well, a lot of the old players have declined a lot. But there's a few players that have been rejuvenated under Jose Mourinho. Michael Carrick, Herrera's been playing a lot better. Valencia has been playing a lot better as well under Jose Mourinho. For me, he was our player of the season this year. Antonio Valencia bossed that defence, bossed that right hand side, and stopped a lot of players there. A couple of years, like he's put in a position that he wasn't really. He was put in a position a couple of years ago where he wasn't really used to playing. He was used to playing on that right hand side, but then he just kind of got shoved out the team. But he was brought back by Louis van Gaal playing that right back, and Jose Mourinho has kept him at that right back, and he's played absolutely fantastically this season. David De Gea, I'm actually giving more Sergio Romero a better shout than David De Gea this season. For me, Romero, top number 2 in the season this year, played in the Europa League final, made a couple of crucial saves in the Europa League, keeping us in the Europa League. And for me, would he charge a serious amount if the speculation does transpire into a move? David De Gea out to Real Madrid. That's the transfer news at the moment. Would Sergio Romero make a good number 1? I think he would, but I don't see the board will see it as that. And I think they will end up getting someone else. Jan Oblak top of the list, and also Kasper Schmeichel has been linked to Manchester United as well. But I think that is about it then. I would say that our season has been a success for what it is. Obviously, still not hunting for that league. And now that's 4 seasons where Manchester United haven't even been in the title race. It's tough. It's tough to take as a United fan. It's gut-wrenching. But we just got to hope next season we come back with some stronger players. The team is more mentally strong. And we come back and we make a good charge. Will I be predicting Manchester United to win the season next year? No, you'll have to find out when that video does transpire. But thank you guys all for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, remember as always to be leaving that massive like button and commenting where do you think Manchester United will finish this season, not this season, next season, and what players do you think Manchester United need, any Man United fans out there. Also, just any other general comments are also accepted as well. Don't forget, if you'd like to, share the video with your friends. Let's try and get a big audience ready for, well, just in general. This couple of months I have finished school and I'm not planning to start work just yet, so we will have a constant upload schedule. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to make sure you're not missing out on any of the daily videos that are currently being loading on this channel. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.